We've got a PI modal range, a Phrygian Ionian modal range, a Phryg Ion modal range, a sky blue to the yellow green modal range, a 3-1 modal range. We got a PD modal range. That's going to be a Phrygian Dorian modal range, a Phryg Dor modal range, sky blue to spring green, 3-2 modal range. So the PP modal range, Phrygian to Phrygian, sky blue to sky blue, is going to be 0 shades gray away. It has, that would be one standard scale degree. That's going to be 0 note half steps away, which of course is flame color. That means that the 0 note away perfect first is flame color. 0 note away from the Phrygian node, 0 modal half step is flame color. PY modal range, Phrygian Lydian modal range, Phryg Lyd, spring or sky blue to normal blue, 3-4 modal range is going to be 1 shade of gray up. That's 1 modal half step up, which is 2 scale degree. The note half steps is 1, which is amber. So a 1 note away minor second is amber. A 1 note away from the Phrygian node first modal half step is amber. You don't see amber all that much because it's not a normal distance. It's only there on the Phrygian and the Locrian. So what about a PX modal range, Phrygian Mixolydian modal range, a Phryg mix, a sky blue to magenta, 3-5 modal range? It's going to be 2 modal half steps up, 2 shades of gray up, which is the 3rd scale degree. Note half steps will be 3, which is lime color. That means a 3 note away minor third is a lime color. 3 note away from the Phrygian node, 2nd modal half step is a lime color. What about a PA modal range, a Phrygian Aeolian modal range, a Phryg AO modal range, a sky blue to red modal range, a 3-6 modal range? It's going to be 3 shades of gray up, 3 modal half steps up. That's going to be 4 scale degree. 5 note half steps, which is aqua. So a 5 note away perfect fourth is aqua, and a 5 note away from the Phrygian node, 3rd modal half step is aqua. What about a PN modal range? Phrygian Locrian modal range, the Phryg Loc mode. We have the sky blue to yellow, the 3-7 modal range. That's going to be 4 modal half steps up, 4 shades of gray, which is the 5th scale degree, has a distance of 7, which is azure. That means a 7 note away perfect 5th is azure, 7 note away from the Phrygian node, 4th modal half step, azure color. So we have a PI modal range, Phrygian Ionian modal range, the Phryg Ion modal range, the sky blue to yellow green, 3-1 modal range. That's going to be 5 modal half steps up, 5 shades of gray. That's going to be the 6th scale degree, 8 note half steps away, which is grape. That means that the 8 note away minor 6 is grape, 8 note away from the Phrygian node, 5th modal half step is grape. The PD modal range, the Phryg Dor modal range, the Phrygian Dorian modal range, the sky blue spring green, the 3-2 modal range is going to be 6 shades of gray, which is 6 modal half steps up, which is the 7th scale degree, 10 note half steps up, which is fuchsia. So it's going to be a 10 note away minor 7, therefore it's fuchsia. A 10 note away from the Phrygian node, 6 modal half step is fuchsia. What if we start from not the Phrygian, but the Lydian? That would be a YY modal range, Lydian modal range, a Lyd modal range, a blue modal range, 4-4 modal range, Lydian to Mixolydian modal range, a YX modal range, a Lyd mix modal range, blue magenta, 4-5 modal range, a Lydian to Aeolian modal range, a Lyd AO modal range, YA modal range, 4-6 modal range, blue-red modal range, a YN modal range. That's going to be the Lydian to the Locrian modal range, a Lyd Loc modal range, a 4-7 modal range, a blue-yellow modal range. We've got a YI modal range, Lydian Ionian modal range, a Lyd Ion modal range, a blue to a yellow-green modal range, a 4-1 modal range. We've got a Lydian Dorian modal range, a YD modal range, a Lyd Dor modal range, a blue to a spring green 4-2 modal range. We've got a Lydian Phrygian modal range, which is going to be a blue sky blue modal range, a Lyd Phryg modal range, a YP modal range, a 4-3 modal range. Okay, so if we went from the Lydian to the Lydian, a YY, a 4-4, blue, that's going to give us 0 shades of gray, which is going to be the 1st scale degree, 0 note half steps, which is the flame color, meaning a 0 note away perfect first, once again, is a flame color. Also, a 0 note away from the Lydian node, 0th modal half step is 0 is flame color. The key being that first number determining the color. So we have a YX modal range, Lydian, mixed Lydian modal range, blue, magenta, 4-5 modal range, which is going to be 1 modal half step up. Second scale degree, 2 note half steps up, which is chartreuse. So we have a 2 note away. Major second is chartreuse. A 2 note away from the Lydian node. First modal half step is chartreuse. What about the next one? That's going to be a YA modal range, a Lydian Aeolian modal range, a Lyd AO, a blue, red, a 4-6. That's going to be 2 modal half steps up, 2 shades of gray, which is the third scale degree. It's going to be 4 note half steps up, which is mint color. So a 4 note away, major third is mint. A 4 note away from the Lydian node, second modal half step is mint. What about a YN modal range, Lydian Locrian modal range, a Lyd Loc, a blue, yellow, a 4-7 modal range. It's going to be 3 modal half steps up, 3 shades of gray, which is the fourth scale degree. Note half steps is 6, which is electric sky, the tritone, the crazy tritone. You only see it in the Lydian and the Locrian, the Lyd and the Locs. They're both crazy, but the Locrian's the only one that people say is crazy because the Lyd hangs out with the major people, and those are the cool kids, so they hide his craziness, even though it has that one in there too. So that's going to be a 6. So that means that the 6 note away from, a 6 note away, this should be an augmented fourth, by the way. I'm using a standard from my worksheet, always makes it a diminished fifth, but we're talking about the Lydian, so it should be an augmented fourth. So I should have made that red or highlighted that somehow. But it's 6 notes away, and that means it's going to be electric sky either way. So that means that the 6 note away from the Lydian node, third modal half step is also electric sky. All right, what about a YI modal range and a Lydian Ionian modal range, a blue, yellow, green modal range, a Lyd Ion modal range, 4-1 modal range. It's going to be 4 modal half steps up, 4 shades gray, which would be the 5th scale degree, 7 notes up, which is azure. So the 7 note away, perfect 5th is azure. 7 note away from the Lydian node, 4th modal half step, also azure. Sounds like a name that was out of Ghostbusters for like the bad guy in like Ghostbusters. I don't know. I can't remember, but it's anyway. What about a YD modal range, a Lydian Dorian modal range, a Lyd Dor modal range, blue, spring, green, 4-2 modal range. It's going to be 4 modal half steps up, which is, 5 modal half steps up, 5 shades of gray, 6th scale degree. Note half steps are 9, which is orchid. That means that a 9 note away, major 6 is orchid color. 9 note away from the Lydian node, 5th modal half step is also orchid color. All right, what about a YP modal range, Lydian Phrygian modal range, a Lyd Phryg modal range, a blue to a sky blue, a 4 to a 3 modal range. That's going to be 6 modal half steps away. That's going to be 6 shades of gray, which is the 7th scale degree. That's going to be 11 note half steps, which is punch. Interval of 11 note away, major 7 is punch color. 11 note away from the Lydian node, 6 modal half step, also the color of punch, fruit punch. So what about an XX modal range, which would be a Mixolydian, a mix modal range, a 5-5 modal range, a magenta to magenta modal range. What about a Mixolydian Aeolian modal range? We've got a mix to an AO, a magenta to red, a 5-6 modal range, an XA modal range. What about a Mixolydian to Locrian, an XN modal range, a magenta to yellow modal range, a mix to a Loc modal range, a 5-7 modal range, an XI modal range is Mixolydian to Ionian modal range, a mix to Ion modal range, magenta or magent to yellow-green, a 5-1 modal range. What about the Mixolydian to the Dorian, a mix to Dor, an XD modal range, a magenta or magent to spring green modal range, a 5-2 modal range. We've got a Mixolydian to Phrygian modal range, a mix to Phryg modal range, a magenta, a magent to the sky blue modal range, a 5-3 modal range, and then we've got a Mixolydian to Lydian, which would be a mix to Lyd modal range, an XY modal range, which would be a 5-4 modal range, magenta to blue. Okay. So if we go Mixolydian to Mixolydian, mix to mix, X to X, 5 to 5, 0 modal half step, 0 shades of gray, first scale degree, therefore 0 note half steps, which would once again be a flame color. That means that once again, the 0 note away perfect first is flame color. 0 note away from the Mixolydian node is also flame color. So we have X to A, that's going to be Mixolydian to Aeolian, mix to AO, magenta to red, 5-6 modal range, 1 shade of gray up, 1 modal half step, second scale degree, 2 note half steps up, which is chartreuse. So a 2 note away major second is chartreuse. A 2 note away from the Mixolydian node, first modal half step is chartreuse. An XN modal range, Mixolydian Locrian modal range, mixed to Loc, magenta to yellow. 5-7 modal range is going to be 2 modal half steps up, 2 shades of gray, which is the third scale degree. Note half steps is 4, which is mint color because it's a major mode. So you have the 4 note away major third, which is mint, and that will also be a 4 note away from the Mixolydian node, second modal half step, mint colored. An XI modal range, Mixolydian to Ionian, mixed to Ion, magenta to yellow green. 5-1 modal range is going to be 4 shades of gray up, 4 modal half steps, 3 shades of gray up, 3 modal half steps, 4 is the scale degree, note half steps is 5, which is aqua. Aqua, so that means that the 5 note away perfect fourth is an aqua color, a 5 note away from the Mixolydian node, third modal half step is aqua. What about an XD modal range, Mixolydian Dorian modal range, mixed door, magenta to spring green. 5-2 modal range, that's going to be a 4 shades of gray, 4 modal half steps, which would be the 5th scale degree. It's going to be 7 notes away, which is azure color. So once again, that solid 7 is a 7 note away perfect 5th azure, 7 note away from the Mixolydian node, 4th modal half step is azure color. We've got an XP modal range, Locrian Phrygian modal range, a mixed fridge modal range, a magenta to sky blue modal range. That's going to be a 5-3 modal range, which is going to be 5 shades of gray up. 5 shades of gray up, which is the 6th scale degree. It's going to be 9 note half steps, which is orchid. That means that a 9 note away major 6 is orchid. A 9 note away from the Mixolydian node, 5th modal half step is orchid. What about finally, we got the Mixolydian Lydian modal range, the XY modal range, the mixed lid modal range, the magenta blue modal range, the 5-4 modal range. That's going to be 6 shades of gray up, or 6 modal half steps, which is the 7th scale degree, 10 notes up, which is fuchsia. So that means that 10 note away minor 7 is fuchsia. The 10 note away from the Mixolydian node, 6 modal half step, also fuchsia. All right, let's measure everything from the Aeolian. If we're on the Aeolian, we can go AA, Aeolian, Aeolian, AO, AO, 6-6, red, red, Aeolian to Locrian, AO to Loc, which is red to yellow, AN, 6-7. We can go to the AI, Aeolian to Ionian, AO, IO, red, yellow, green, 6-1 modal range. We can go from the Aeolian to the Dorian, AD modal range, red, spring, green modal range, AO, door modal range, 6-2 modal range. We can go from the Aeolian to the Phrygian, AO, fridge, red, sky blue, 6-3 modal range. We can go from the Aeolian to the Lydian, an AY modal range, and AO to the lid modal range, red, blue modal range, 6-4 modal range. We can go from the Aeolian to the Mixolydian modal range, which would be an AX modal range, red to magenta modal range. It would be then AO to mix, 6-5 modal range. So if we went from the AA, Aeolian to Aeolian, 6-6, that would be 0 modal half steps, 0 shades of gray would be the first then standard or scale degree, 0 note half steps, that's going to be the flame color. That means once again that the 0 note away perfect first is the flame color, and the 0 note away, that being the key of the Aeolian node, 0 with modal half step is flame color. If we go from A to N, Aeolian to Locrian, Aeon to Loc, 6-7 modal range, that's going to be 1 shades of gray up, which is 1 modal half step up, second scale degree. Note half steps are 2, which is chartreuse. So we have the 2-note away major second is chartreuse, a 2-note away from the Aeolian node, first modal half step, also chartreuse, an AI modal range, Aeolian Ionian modal range, AO red to yellow green, 6-1 modal range is going to be 2 shades of gray up, 2 modal half steps up, that is 3 or third scale degree, therefore note half steps will be 3, which is lime color. So that means that 3-note away minor third, because we're in the main minor, the Aeolian minor scale, is going to be the lime color. We have a 3-note away from the Aeolian second modal half step is also the lime color.